What's up YouTube? Dr. Sandy Baird, Riverstone Chiropractic. Today we're going to look at one of the most frequently asked questions that I get from my patients, and that is, should I ice my injury or should I heat my injury? Stay tuned to find out more. So when it comes to ice, we need to look at two different things. We need to look at pain management and we need to look at inflammation management. Now, a review of the literature will show that there's not actually one shred of evidence for inflammation management for ice. So it's not going to help us there. Where it does help us is for the pain management. So we learned in physiotherapy class that there's the stages of ice, and I'm going to put them up here so you can see them on the screen too. But it goes through coldness and then burning and then achiness, intense pain, and then you hit the numbness. So if you're just icing for a couple minutes and you're not actually feeling the numbness, you're not going to do any good for pain relief. But if you can get to those stages, that's going to give you the best pain relief. So what is the best way to ice an injury? You may have seen you have a lot of choices, right? There's the commercial ice packs, there's dunking your hand or your ankle into a bucket of ice water, there's some other choices. My favorite actually involves using a Dixie cup. Okay, so these ones have penguins on them. Aww. What you do is you fill it up with water, you put it in the freezer. If you know that you have an injury, you're going to want to be icing it a couple different times a day, then just do like 6 of them at a time, put them in the freezer. When you're ready to ice, you pull one out, and then you just tear off the top rim here so that the surface of the ice is showing. And then you just, let's say I'm going to apply ice, let's say I have a forearm injury, I would just kind of start it here. It can be nice to have a towel. If you're in a bathtub, it doesn't matter, or over a sink, it doesn't matter. But if you're just sitting in a chair, grab a towel, and then you just start to move the ice. So you don't want to keep it in one place because there's a possibility that you may damage the tissue, but you're going to be moving it around for 1 to 3 minutes. And you'll notice pretty quickly that the whole area will get pretty burny, pretty achy, and then it'll start to be numb. At that point, you're done with the ice. If you still have some left, you can put it back in the freezer. Otherwise, just compost it, recycle it, whatever. Now, what about heat? Well, there's a lot of cultures and a lot of traditions in Ayurvedic medicine and in Eastern medicine that would actually point you towards heating up an injury. A lot of the same cultures and traditions have, things like warmed foods, drinking warm liquids, keeping the body covered to maintain temperature. These are all really important things, and they also tie into if you have an injury, maybe not a forearm injury, but let's say a back injury, neck, shoulders, that kind of thing. A lot of cultures would put heat traditionally on the injury. And I think that may actually be a good idea. You kind of have to look at common sense, right? Like if something feels good, it probably is good. I mean, if you can take this to the extremes, if you eat like a whole cake at once, it might feel good, but it's not good, you know what I mean? But if we're just looking at kind of Occam's razor, simplest principle here, if it feels good to heat an injury, it's probably good for you. And the research does not support ice for inflammation management, so why the heck not? So heating an injury can give you some relief because it helps the muscles to relax. And in my opinion, you don't actually want to fight off too much inflammation. Inflammation is the body's natural response to injury, and you want those cells to try to clean up the damage. You want that stuff there. You don't want to like ice that away, right? So let's keep some of that inflammation. And just a tip with icing in terms of how often you can do it. So if you're using an ice pack, right, you're using something to heat to ice like the deeper layers of muscle and fascia, then it's recommended that you use the ice for about 20 minutes and then you rest for an hour and then you can come back to it and do it for another 20 minutes. If you're using something like the ice cup, it's 1 to 3 minutes of treatment, and then it's taking it off until you feel like the numbness and the coldness has gone away. Once you feel like the tissue has like returned its normal blood flow, then you're able to ice again. And that usually takes between 30 minutes and an hour, so it's not like you're going to be getting in there every 5 minutes. Give it a little bit of a break and let your body naturally heal things up a little bit. And we should probably talk about when not to heat an injury. Right? There's some things that you would not want to heat, and these are active injuries. So you've just fallen. You've fallen yesterday and things are really still inflamed. Anything that's an open cut or an open wound, no heat. So I hope that gave you a little bit of insight as to whether you should heat an injury or cool off an injury. If you have any questions, please leave your questions in the comments below. And if you want more content, go ahead and subscribe to the channel. There's a button, there's a bell, and like the video, and that would really help me out, and it'll help you out because it lets me know what kind of content is helpful to you. All right, thanks. See you on the next one.